What's going on, guys? So today we're back in the garage, finally working on the car again. Unfortunately I couldn't find a charger for the video, so we're gonna have to stick with a cell phone for today, but here's what we got going on. First thing first, we are going to be removing the hex plug or block plug. There's a total of two of these, and then I've already removed the one in the bottom. We are going to be replacing it with these block plugs right here. This is direct replacement with a -10 AN male fitting on the other end. So you could actually get this on eBay for about $19 or $20. The seller is called K Motors. I will be putting the link in the description below. So we are also going to be replacing this little coolant thing right here. So this is the pipe for the oil cooler, and we are going to be eliminating the oil cooler, so we're going to have to remove this. Block plug for the coolant pipe, and sometimes, you know, a little bit of thread locker. I'm sorry, I meant Teflon tape won't hurt. So a little bit of Teflon tape, and we'll screw it in there, and we should be good to go. So now we have the replacement plug in there, so it's nice and tight. Now we have the block plug in there, and it's nice and tight. So the next thing to do would be to remove these two block plugs, the bigger ones, and we're going to go ahead and put these two right here. Wow, that thing is there pretty good. But I got it out. So the plugs are actually, they are I believe they're 27mm socket. Tighten these and you should be good. Both the -10 plugs in there. We have the bottom one blocked off, and we had the coolant pipe blocked off as well. So the next thing to do would be to put the fitting for the oil filter and the sandwich plate. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we have the replacement fitting that will go into the stock oil filter location. I'll tread into that. Let me open actually so you guys can see it. So here we go. This is the fitting that you're gonna need. You can get this off the dealer. I forgot how much it is. I think it's like $8. And this, the other end, the big end, will go to the stock location right here. And then on the other side, that's where the connection for the fitting for the sandwich plate, as far as the oil filter. So let's go ahead and put this in. So with this build, I'm going to be using a Mishimoto sandwich plate. This is actually the same sandwich plate that I used with the single cam Civic last year. We have the -3 on the other side here that connects into the turbo oil feed line, and the other male fitting will go into the you got the oil pressure gauge inside the cabin, so you can see exactly what the oil pressure of the motor at operating temperature and after it pass, or like at idle. So it's kind of important to know and pay attention to your oil pressure, because you definitely don't want to keep beating on the car if the oil pressure is too low. So it's just a good thing to have as a good fail-safe kind of indicator. We've already put a little bit of oil into the gasket right here, so we're gonna go ahead and install this into the block. Sandwich plate fitting also uses 27mm, so I've already had it, so let's go ahead and tighten it. Sandwich plate installed. I actually kind of angled it up, just obviously because of the clearance on the -10 fitting. So two lines will go back out to the turbo, and the other one will go back in to the to the cabin for the oil pressure gauge. So my cell phone decided that it wants to run out of battery as well, so now we're back into my Android phone. I don't know how this is gonna look like later, so just bear with me, and we'll go ahead and install the carburetor right now. So we got the timing cover on, and now would be a good time to install the ATI damper. We have the ATI super damper, which is, I guess it's a race damper. So it does kind of underdrive the alternator a little bit if you drive down the street, but you could also just leave the idle at about 1200 RPM, and it kind of helps out balance out the voltage on the alternator. Or you could also change the pulley on the alternator. I haven't personally tried it, but I like to put a little bit of red Loctite into the crank bolt right there. Just make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. Make sure you have your the keyway, and make sure that you have the washer for the crank gear. So with all that said, let's go ahead and install the ATI damper. Oh, and some people actually like to torque this. I know, like Kyle at Boosted Boys, he gets flamed for not torquing the the damper into the crank. Actually, I don't torque mine as well. I just drive it in there with an impact and send it. So I guess some of you might disagree. So it doesn't really matter. That's how I do it my way. So let's go ahead and do this. Oh, and by the way, I don't think I've explained what I got going on with the head. We tried and checked a couple camshaft at the degree wheel and see which one has the best specs for the setup. Unfortunately, it looks like this ITR 2000 ITR cam is what I'm going to be using. The rear ground cam didn't have enough lift, just the fact that they're kind of limited for SCCA, kind of like an autocross road racing kind of style. But the head, obviously this is supported Melbourne ports head. It has a 4-angle valve job with a in-canal Super Tech on the exhaust side valves, and we have black nitrated on the intake side. And then what else do we have on this? It's just basically everything is Super Tech. We got a Super Tech valve spring, Super Tech retainers, and then we have a Super Tech valve seals and a Super Tech guides. Oh, and by the way, I want to give my buddy Tim a shout out for letting me use the billet post mount. This is an innovative post mount, and my buddy Corey for letting me use the OEM coil plate and the OEM coils. This is actually a really nice plate. This is a Speed Factory one, so shout out to my buddy Corey, also known as Corey Tuck. But anyway, we got the damper on, so now would be a good time to take the oil pan up and change the gasket and double check everything in the bottom end just to make sure they look correct. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so we tighten the oil pan and put the new gasket on there. I don't like to torque these. Actually, I just like to snug it by hand. Just a lot of times, you know, you could easily strip, or just like the gasket will just stretch too much, and you know that could easily result into you know, like oil pan leak, and you don't want that. So just to do a quick recap of what we did today, we put the billet post mount in there, and again, thanks to my buddy Tim for letting me use this one. We put the ATI damper on, we got the timing cover, a new head, a new oil pan gasket, and I had the turbo installed right now. Just kind of look through overall clearance to see what will need to be changed, but it looks like this will work out fine. However, I'm going to have to add, I'm going to have to redo the return line a little bit longer because it's a different motor, so the single cam return line will not work anymore. We did a lot of stuff in the back as well. We've removed the 2 freeze plugs from the back, and we've added the K motors dash 10 fittings right here in this one, and then you got the plug right here. And like I said, I'm going to add the link to the description below, so you guys could also get this one. It's definitely not bad for $19. The quality is pretty good, and we've also eliminated the water pipe, since we're not going to be using the oil cooler anymore. So then we've also added a fitting on this one as well, so that we could install the Mishimoto sandwich plate. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that we're also going to be blocking this off. So this is like an NPT thread. So we got to go to Ace Hardware right now to get the 2 NPT bolt to block this one and that one. And then after that, we should be good to go. Alright, so we have the old return line, but this is not going to work because the angle is a little bit weird. So I had to make another one from scratch, and here's the finished return line. That connects to the oil pan. It's a -10 and connects to the back of the turbo, and we still have plenty of space in between the manifolds. So I'm still going to be adding, you know, a heat shield on here, or some kind of like something to keep it from, you know, getting too hot, because you don't want that. You don't want the manifold to be melting the rubber inside the return line. So yeah, so the next thing to do right now is to convert the harness. This is actually an OBD1 engine harness, but for some reason it has an OBD2 clip. So I'm thinking that maybe that the original car for this harness had a you know, OBD2 swap. I don't know, like maybe a GSR or Type R swap. So I just got back from the junkyard and I got these OBD1 alternator clip, and then we're also going to be doing the let's see here. Oh, I found them. These are the Bosch 2200cc injectors that we're going to be wiring into these right here. It looks like it had some kind of like a probably like, I don't know, like 1000cc injectors back in the day. So that's what's going on right now. And then we are actually going to be, something arrived in the mail today. I'm going to show it to you. So we have the intake manifold. We got the right intake manifold this time. This is the B18. My cell phone won't focus, but this is a B18C intake manifold, Victor X. And again, so shout out to Mondo at El Garage for being clutch. I got this manifold in a day, so thanks a lot, Mondo. And oh, we're gonna have to port this obviously to 74 millimeters. So I went to Harbor Freight to grab some circular sander, whatever it's called. Hold on. Drum kit, there you go, sanding drum kit, 80 grit and 120 grit. So as soon as I'm done with the harness, we're gonna go ahead and put this on a vise, and we're gonna start porting it. So, all right, so we just finished working on the harness. We converted the alternator clip from OBD2 to OBD1. We also wired in and soldered the injector clips for the Bosch 200cc. These are all the mess that was from the harness. So here's the finished harness. It's nothing crazy. You know, it's not like a wire or anything, but I prefer to use OEM. I just like to clean it up a little bit. So we got the injectors. But I mean, yeah, that's pretty much all that needed to be done. So now we're gonna go ahead and work on the intake manifold. So a little change of plan. I just remembered it's almost midnight right now, and for me to port the manifold, I'd have to use the air compressor, and that will make like gazillion noises, and that's definitely not something you want to do in, you know, like condo houses. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this intake manifold so you guys could see it. And again, thanks to my buddy Mondo at El Garage. So here's one inside the box. You got the Victor X intake manifold. You can look at the opening of it isn't all that big. So we got some of the fittings that we're gonna use for the backing lines and whatever. But oh, looks like we have the N50 fitting that we need. Okay, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and test fit this into the motor and then see how it looks like. So we got the intake manifold bolted into the car. It looks nice and clean. Thanks, by the way, thanks to 16 Motorsports for the intake manifold gasket. We're gonna be using a thermal one, Golden Eagle. Oh, and by the way, we were looking for like an NPT plug for these two right here, and I couldn't find them at Ace Hardware. So guess what I found in a box? A fucking NPT plug. So let's go ahead and put this on. Alright, so here's the complete motor, and the car sitting in the back. It's kind of a nice thing to look at, really. It's been, you know, a long winter, honestly. You know, struggled with budget, and man, it's been a long couple months, but we're almost there. So I'm gonna end the video here, and tomorrow we're gonna be porting the manifold. put the twin discs, hopefully get the trans together and get that car, get this swap into the car. And I'm still hoping to start by the weekend, but you know, worst comes to worst, we'll start it next week, first week of September. So thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned. We'll be doing startup soon. Peace.